Hey, my friends, Coach Powers back again with a new video. And this time I want to talk to you about uh, why acceptance isn't what you think it is. And I teach a lot about acceptance in my recovery school and with my clients and my students, and they often get this wrong, quite often, even when they've worked with therapists. And I ask them, well, what is acceptance? They don't really seem to have a good understanding of what it is. So even before we begin, think for yourself for a moment here. What is acceptance? What would you define acceptance as in recovery? Okay. Now, let me say a lot of people in withdrawal say the same things. I hear a lot of the same things, such as, I'm trying to accept it, coach. I'm practicing acceptance. Or, or they'll say, I guess I just have to accept this, right? But most of the time, what they're calling acceptance isn't acceptance at all, right? And that's why it's not working. So I want to clear that up in this video with several points that I've written down and I think are really worth sharing with you. So without further ado, the first thing I want to share with you is acceptance is not resignation. And I think this is probably one of the most important concepts right out the gate. If I don't share anything else on this topic with you, this one would be worth it. Acceptance is not resignation. It's not giving up, right? Acceptance is not just saying, well, I guess this is my life now. I guess I'm broken. This is permanent. I should just learn how to live with it. Or, you know what? Fine. There's nothing I can do, right? That's resignation. That's collapse. That's giving up agency and just believing maybe some of the scary things you've been told or you've read. Acceptance doesn't mean that you believe the story that your fear, or as I call it, the bear, your survival intelligence, is telling you. It means you stop fighting the present moment. Think about that. Acceptance means you stop fighting the present moment. It is not resignation. Very important, very hard concept. Write that down if you have to. Really internalize that. Another point worth making is acceptance is not liking it. No one is asking you to like withdrawal. You don't have to even approve of it. You don't have to be grateful for it, right? I mean, sometimes with spiritual people, they'll find purpose and reason and things in it, and great for them. And if you can do that, that's amazing for your recovery. But there's no pressure to do that. You don't need to like it. You don't need to be grateful. You don't need to say, oh, this is happening for a reason. You don't absolutely need to do that. Acceptance is not positive thinking. And nor is it pretending, right? It's not just like some kind of spiritual bypassing. Um, you basically, with acceptance, what you're trying to say is simply this: this is what's happening right now. No argument, no inner battle, no, this shouldn't be. You just say, this is what's here right now. Right now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, not some future that doesn't exist. Right now, you take a deep breath. This is what's here. I'm feeling this. I'm having these symptoms. I'm at this space right now. That's it. Acceptance does not mean you have to like it. Okay. Another point worth mentioning: acceptance removes secondary suffering. Right. There's the symptom, guys. There's a symptom, and then there's the fight against the symptom. We all have symptoms, and then we fight against it. And that's the really key difference, too, between pain or a symptom and suffering. Suffering is the meaning we give the symptom or the pain. A heart palpitation that we then say, oh my God, this means I have heart problems and Benzo's is killing me and damn this drug and I'll never get off of it. And then you start to spiral and now your glutamate's through the roof and you're suffering 5 times worse than you were just sitting there and going, yeah, I had a heart palpitation. That's a benzo symptom, right? So fighting it looks like saying things like, this needs to stop. This is unbearable. It is bearable. Many of you guys have been through horrible things and you did bear it, right? What if this never ends? Why me, right? All these things that we tell ourselves. And it's again, it just creates more suffering. Sit there with what is. The secondary layer here that we're talking about is what escalates the nervous system, not just the heart palpitation, not the headache, not the tension, not the blurred vision, not the fear that you can sit there and say, oh, I feel fear right now. The nervous system, the limbic brain, then says, but fear of what? oh my God, the fear of an insert, because the limbic brain will certainly fill in countless things to be afraid of there, right? So acceptance removes the argument. Acceptance removes the argument. Think of it that way. Acceptance is, I'm not arguing. But what if? No, I accept this. But what if? What? But I accept it. I'm here in the now, right now. I'm not accepting the sensation. I'm not accepting the symptoms, but I am accepting the argument. Right? I'm not going to argue anymore. And when the argument drops, the nervous system has just a little bit of space to settle. So that's very important. That's a very powerful aspect of acceptance here. Another thing is acceptance is an internal posture, right? It's subtle. It's not dramatic. It's not performative. You don't pretend to be, practicing acceptance. It's not like a role that you're playing here. It's an internal shift from how do I get rid of this to how do I stay steady with what's here, right? How do I get rid of this versus how do I sit with this? How am I just to be steady in the moment with what is here before me, right? That shift, as small as it seems, I assure you, changes everything in the moment. And you can practice that right now. Not think right now with whatever you're dealing with. Don't say, how do I get rid of it, coach? That's why I'm watching this damn video. Tell me how to get rid of it. In a way, I kind of am helping you at least lessen it. And what I'm saying is, again, how do you sit steady with the symptom? And you could do that right now. You could just breathe. I see the symptom. I'm not adding to it. I'm not resisting it. I don't have to like it. I'm not resigning. I'm just not going to add more to what's right here. And when you do that, again, you create a space. You're no longer trying to eliminate the wave that you're in. You're learning to stand in it and rock inside the wave with more strength. Finally, acceptance creates room for regulation. And this really needs to be shared here. When you stop fighting activation, you remove the fuel source for the activation. You really quite literally lower glutamate, right? Everyone talks about glutamate in the withdrawal community. Pressure decreases, urgency decreases, self-monitoring, the instinct and the obsession to self-monitor starts to decrease, and the nervous system reads that as safety. And that's very important. Conversely, the more urgency, the more pressure, the more self-monitoring, right? What does that teach the nervous system? That we are unsafe. And what does an unsafe nervous system do? It dysregulates, it sensitizes, it spikes anxiety, it throws hormones and cortisol, and it just the whole damn system gets out of whack, right? So we want the nervous system to read safety. And ironically, acceptance often reduces symptoms. So like I said, you don't want to practice it with the hope of, or the intention of, if I do acceptance, coach said it'll bring down my symptoms. But ironically, it often does reduce symptoms, honestly. At least it takes in so much that it lowers the level of suffering from pain. From here's the symptom, I can now sit back with what is. But that's not why you do it. You do it because fighting against it makes you so much worse, right? So acceptance isn't weakness, guys. It isn't like giving up. It isn't resignation. If you really look at what I'm saying here, acceptance is strength. It takes courage. It takes faith. It takes practice. It takes discipline, and it takes a certain vulnerability, right? To break away from the fear instincts that we've been clawing and that's been clawing at us and pulling us into their vortex. Acceptance is saying, I don't need this moment to be different in order to remain steady. I don't need this moment to be different. I can still be here. Like the pilot flying through a storm. He doesn't just, jump out of the driver's seat there, right? He trusts his leadership that he can sail through that storm. He can fly through that storm. You can still move forward, you can still heal, and you can still engage life. That's what it's about. Trusting that when the time's right, you can. Now, if you have to, practice self-care. If you need to take a step back and do less for a little bit, that's okay. That's okay. You navigate your nervous system, right? But stop arguing with reality. I cannot tell you how many people I see as a coach suffer much more than they need to because they're just stuck in this dogfight with their limbic system. But coach, I shouldn't have taken that. I shouldn't have went backwards, and I shouldn't have listened. I tapered too fast, or I did this, or if only this would have been different, or don't you understand? Before I could do this, coach. It's all of that. It's like you're not accepting. This is where you are. Lean on your faith, lean on your spirit, lean on your heart, lean on your compassion, and trust that your nervous system will get it all back together. And ironically, if you can do that, you will do one of the best things possible in aiding and helping your nervous system re-regulate, come out of sensitization, lower all those symptomology that's amplified through our survival instincts that are running away. And you'll see things will get easier, things will get more manageable. In this moment, right now, you're managing, right? Now, if you picture all this time in the in the future, well, what about the next 6 months, coach? Then you're going to panic. Right now, you're here, you're breathing, you're steady, right? Not what happened yesterday, not what might happen tomorrow. Right now, again, no resignation, just you breathing, sitting with what is, and not adding to it. That's true acceptance, my friends. Till next time.